Think scaling AI is hard? Think again. With Watson X, you can deploy AI across any environment. Above the clouds, helping pilots navigate flights, and on lots of clouds, helping employees automate tasks. On-prem, so designers can access proprietary data, and on the edge, so remote bank tellers can assist customers. Watson X works anywhere, so you can scale AI everywhere. Learn more at ibm.com/WatsonX. IBM. Let's create.
Other realtors have vacant homes. At Pest Properties, ours come occupied and ready to invest. Looking to relocate your larvae? Try the Petri Residence. This rustic home features thousands of crevices to squirm in through, vaulted ceilings for our wall crawlers, and an outdoor bird bath teeming with mosquito eggs. So kick up your 6 hairy legs and sign today.
Before pests move in, Terminix it. With over 95 years of experience, we'll help keep your home off the pest market. Visit Terminix.com today.
Want to make a podcast? Spotify's got a platform that lets you make one super easily, distribute it everywhere, and even earn money, all in one place for free. It's called Spotify for Podcasters, and here's how it works. Spotify for Podcasters lets you record and edit your podcasts right from your phone or your computer. So no matter what your setup is like, you can start creating today. Then you can distribute your podcast to Spotify and everywhere else podcasts are heard. Video podcasts are also available on Spotify, and when you want to take conversations with your fans to the next level, Q&As and polls are the best way to get them talking. With Spotify for Podcasters, you can earn money in a variety of ways, including ads and podcast subscriptions. Ever since I discovered Spotify for Podcasters, I feel so supported in the creation and distribution of my show. Spotify for Podcasters hosts masterclasses, office hours, and more to help creators develop and fine-tune their skills. I highly recommend you give it a try. Download the Spotify for Podcasters app or go to spotify.com/podcasters to get started. Hello everyone, what is up? Welcome back to 80/20. My name's Lily, I am your host. If this is the first time you were ever listening to the show, the first time you've ever clicked on a podcast episode, special welcome to you. Thank you so much for joining the 80/20 family. I post new episodes every single Monday and Thursday, and you can subscribe to be notified when a new episode goes live. I don't even necessarily know if it's notified, but like it just pops up in your podcast library, whether you listen on Spotify or Apple Podcasts or whatever it might be. I just kind of have a gut feeling that this episode will definitely attract people who don't normally listen to the podcast or who have never listened to the podcast before, because it is a story. And if I know anything about people, it's that people love listening to stories, especially if you are aspiring to do something that might be similar in somebody else's story, if that even makes any sense. But I personally love podcasts when people just tell their story, or when other people get the opportunity to share their story on someone else's show. So that is what this episode is going to be today. It's going to be my story of how I became a health coach as a 21-year-old college student. I'm going to take you through the health coaching training program that I completed. I'm going to take you through how much I paid for that program. I'm going to take you through why I recommend that program to anybody and everybody who may potentially be interested in starting some sort of health and fitness career. I'm going to take you through starting a business and I guess kind of where I'm hoping to take the business in the future or near future. So all of that will be answered in today's episode. But before we get into it, I did want to go through just a couple announcements. You guys know I love my announcements at the beginning of the episode, but I do just try to keep it short and sweet. I'm still on the hunt for an assistant, which we'll kind of get into why towards the end of this episode. I'm just really looking to expand my team, and I know that taking on an assistant is the next best step for me. It will free up a lot of time for me to be able to focus on clients rather than like the administrative stuff. The position is called the Lily Rakow Health Creative and Administrative Assistant, and I'm hoping that this person, actually I need this person to be local to me. I live in the Ocean City, Maryland area, so if you maybe go to Salisbury University, or you live up in Lewis, Delaware, or you are just kind of in like the Salisbury, Berlin, Ocean City, West Ocean City, Lewis, Rehoboth, Fenwick, area. Any of those places are relatively close to one another within like 30-45 minutes or so. I'm looking for someone who's super passionate about health and wellness, who's passionate about taking a holistic approach to health and wellness nonetheless, and it is a very, at least in my opinion, a very good paid position. So if that sounds like something that you're interested in, I have a highlight on my Instagram page that's called Lily Rakow Health is hiring, and I also have an in-feed post. So go check out my Instagram. All the details are on my Instagram, and if you have any questions, please don't hesitate to reach out to me. But I am still looking for an assistant. I've had a lot of people reach out and say that they'd be willing to do it virtually, but I really need someone to be here with me because there's so many things that I need someone to do that I can't A, teach them how to do virtually, and B, like, you just can't do a lot of these things that I need you to do virtually. So I really need them to be like local to me. So if that sounds like you, let me know. Hit me up in the DMs. You guys know I'm always responding to DMs. I'm always checking my DMs. I love talking to you in the DMs. If you ever want to reach me, that's the place to do it. So as always, if you have an inquiry or question or want to be my creative and administrative assistant, hit me up because I would love to hear from you. I just took a quick little intermission, not like you guys would know because I would have edited out my intermission or put like music behind it or something, but I had to vlog really quick. I wanted to vlog that I was recording a podcast. So that's what I just did. And if you guys aren't familiar with my YouTube channel, I feel like a lot of people who listen to the podcast just happen to find the podcast, like just happen to stumble across the show because it was recommended to them on Spotify or Apple Music or podcasts. So if that's you and you don't know already, I do have a YouTube channel, and it's crazy because we're coming up on 4 years of me being on YouTube, and what a wild ride that's been. And it honestly, to some capacity, led me to where I am today, but it's also shifted so much since I started back when I was a senior in high school, the summer before my senior year of high school. I know I took a long break just because I was so burnt out, and I was not excited to create content and not excited to like film my life in that way. I was really into my podcast and I was really into like Instagram Reels and stuff, but I'm like slowly getting back into weekly vlogs. So if you want to see more behind the scenes of my day-to-day life, I will leave my YouTube channel linked in the description. I'm trying to post more of like health coaching behind the scenes and like work days in my life, but it is really hard because most of my work is done on a computer, and we'll talk all about my health coaching business in this episode today. But it's just hard to be like, okay, now I'm doing this, now I'm doing that, when I'm literally just sitting at my desk. Like, it doesn't look like I've done anything, but I've actually done a lot. Do you guys feel that way too? Like, I just don't feel productive unless I leave the house and do work on my computer. If I'm just sitting at my home desk and doing work on my computer, I feel like the laziest person ever, but I could have had like such a productive day. Does that make any sense to anybody else? Do you guys feel me on that one? I don't really know. This is my last event for the day. It's actually kind of like a cozy vibe. It's about 7:30. It's kind of like dark and stormy outside, and I have a candle going, and I have my lamp on, and it's on like a warm tone color. So I'm just feeling really zen and just ready to get into the nitty-gritty of what it's like to go to the Institute of Integrative Nutrition and become a health coach as a 21-year-old college student. Before we start talking about the Institute of Integrative Nutrition, I think that it's really important to establish, I guess, just kind of a foundation of the story and talk about why I decided to even go there in the first place. I guess the short version is just that I felt so called to do that, and I really just wanted to learn more about my body and what I could do to be the healthiest and happiest version of myself. I had really struggled at traditional college, and I wasn't feeling good in my mind or in my body, And I wanted to change that. I knew that I needed to do something different, and I didn't really know how to get there. And I figured that going to the Institute of Integrative Nutrition during the summer leading up to what was supposed to be my junior year, and then I decided to take a little bit of time off on what I call like a gap term, which if you follow the podcast and know my story or familiar with the timeline, I feel like I just need to make like one big episode that's like a timeline of my life up to this point because it's so confusing to a lot of people. I transferred schools 3 times. I did the health coaching training program, which some people still think that that's a college, which it's not. It's a certification program. So there's just a lot of like nitty gritty, and I'm going to spare all those details for you guys today. If you want to know my full story, you can probably listen to a couple different podcast episodes and start to piece it together. But one day I'll make a whole big timeline of my entire life up till this point, if people want that. I don't know if you guys want that, but people get really confused. So long story short, at that point in my life, I needed something. I needed more to life. I needed to know how to be the healthiest version of myself. I needed to know how to get more zest out of life. And I had heard about the Institute of Integrative Nutrition. And I'd heard about it through Kenzie Burke, who was the only health and wellness person that I followed on Instagram. And I was really, really intrigued by her holistic approach. And I was really intrigued by the Ayurvedic principles of the lifestyle that she followed. And so that's what kind of originally drew me in. I felt like I kind of related to her story to some degree. So I'd always kind of known of this program in the back of my mind for about a year or two. And I knew that it was a really good one because the more I looked into it, the more I realized that a lot of really, really successful people in the field of holistic health and wellness had gone through the Institute of Integrative Nutrition, that school had been a major piece of their journey and kind of helped them to like put the puzzle pieces together and really narrow down like what they wanted to do with their life, who they wanted to be as a person, and how they wanted to live. And I just wanted that. And I wasn't getting it at the traditional college that I was attending. And I was actually just in this complete downward spiral, and I just needed something different. When I was thinking about attending the Institute for Integrative Nutrition, IIN for short, if you guys hear me refer to it as IIN throughout the rest of the episode, that's Institute of Integrative Nutrition, or Nutrition School is also what it's called. When I was thinking about enrolling in IIN, I was technically a student at Salisbury University, and I wasn't loving it. The whole, COVID thing was happening, so classes were all online anyway. And I knew of a friend who went to online school. And I was super interested in the program that she was in, but I still had in the back of my mind that like social media communications wasn't really what I wanted to do. Mind you, up until this point, I'd been studying communications at traditional colleges, multiple different campuses. And so I was talking to my friend, and she was like, you would love this program. And I decided to apply for this school. It was a school in the Midwest, but I could do it completely online. So I applied to this social media communications program, and I got in, and I was all ready to go to this school. And then they told me that most of my credits would not transfer. So I had already done 60 credits worth of college coursework, and none of them would transfer. So I'd be completely starting from scratch as a freshman. And this was May before my junior year. So I was not interested in doing this school anymore because all the hard work that I would have done up to that point would not have paid off. So I decided to just say, let's scrap the whole thing. I'm just going to take a gap semester for the fall. And this was in May of 2020. And I was scrolling through Instagram, and I saw Nutrition School IIN had posted something, last couple days to sign up for the May 2020 session of the health coaching training program. Enroll today. I think that they were doing some sort of like discount or special or something. And I was like, you know what? I think that this is what I'm going to do. So I made a PowerPoint for my parents, and I basically said, this is why I want to do the program. This is how I think that it can benefit me. They were super supportive of me. I paid for it all on my own. I was originally going to borrow money from my older sister, Marley, and just like slowly pay her back rather than taking out a loan. But it actually all worked out. Like there was an opportunity that landed in my lap basically, and it covered the cost of school. And I just truly took it as a sign that I needed to take this opportunity and use this money and put it towards my dream instead of putting it towards like a Louis Vuitton bag or something, you know? Like I feel like so many influencers, quote unquote, I hate that word, and you know, they'll like get a big opportunity or like a big brand deal and they'll buy like a purse to celebrate, but like I wanted to invest it back in my business, and I wanted to put that money towards something that would benefit me and also benefit you guys, because the transformation that I've gone through over the past year and a half has been crazy. And I just know based on the conversations that I've had with you all that my transformation has also helped spark a transformation in your lives as well. So me investing in like a Louis Vuitton bag could have been pretty cool, but we would all not be here right now, you know? So that's kind of the background story of how I ended up enrolling in the Institute of Integrative Nutrition. Now you might be wondering, that's really cool, Lily, but what exactly is the Institute of Integrative Nutrition? And I kind of have formatted the rest of this episode like a Q&A because I feel like that's the best way for me to explain what exactly the program is, how much it costs, what the courses are like, what each week of learning is like, and what the certificate entails. So all of those questions and more will be answered in the rest of the episode. I'm kind of going to do it like a Q&A style. So what exactly is the Institute of Integrative Nutrition, you might ask? IIN was founded in the early 90s, I believe, by Joshua Rosenthal. He really saw a gap in the American healthcare system between patient and doctor, and his whole mission was to create this career that in the early 90s really wasn't a thing, health coaching, and teach people who were passionate about health and wellness how to teach other people how to be the healthiest and most well versions of themselves. Something that I really love about IIN is that they don't teach to one specific diet. They actually give you resources to learn over 100 dietary theories, and they teach it from the approach of one size does not fit all. So you really learn about so many different topics, which we'll kind of get into later when I talk about the process of the school and like what each module might look like and week to week and what the lessons are and stuff like that. But every single time you log into the classroom, you learn something that just leaves you wanting more, and you learn something so applicable to your daily life. Like when I was in school, every single week I was able to apply something new, or like 10 things that were new to my life that were able to make me be a better person. And I truly miss being in school because I miss learning about really freaking cool new things every single week. And something that I really love about the school is that they challenge what we've been taught to think about our healthcare system. So for example, in America, if you guys have ever seen a picture of My Plate, it's the recommendation from the FDA as to what every American should be eating every single day. And clearly there is something wrong with this diagram because America is one of the most unhealthy nations. We have the highest rate of obese people in the entire world, and the FDA actually has a study on their website that says about 70 to 80% of the world's population is lactose intolerant, yet they have a glass of milk on My Plate saying that you should drink a glass of milk with every meal instead of a glass of water with every meal. Like Canada has water on their food diagram. America has dairy, so that just makes you think, who designed this? Why is there dairy on My Plate? And then you can look at who is one of the sponsors of the FDA, and it's a couple different dairy organizations. So things like that really open your eyes to why the US is one of the most unhealthy nations, and it just really makes you want to learn more about what we've been taught and maybe what a different avenue might be to take in order to truly be the healthiest and most well versions of yourself. So while dairy isn't necessarily bad for everybody, it's also not good for everybody. And that's another cool thing about IIN, is that they teach to bio-individuality. So instead of teaching that everybody should drink a glass of milk with their meal, because if I were to drink a glass of milk with every meal, I would be in the bathroom all day long. They teach that everybody's different. There's no one size fits all. And your path to wellness is going to be completely different than the person next to you. And integrative health looks at treating the cause, the root of the problem, rather than the symptom, which is something that I really appreciate as well, because two of the main things that I struggled with before IIN were digestive issues and acne. And by looking at the root of the problem, which was imbalanced hormones, I was able to start regulating my hormones and then learn more about it, rather than just like going on birth control to quote regulate my hormones and like fix my acne, when really that just perpetuated the problem, you know? So I think that IIN is one of the only schools that challenges the status quo when it comes to health, which is really freaking cool, because we need more people out there who are challenging the status quo. I mean, seriously, I loved every minute of my time at IIN, and I'm gonna go back probably within the next year or two, because I want to get another certification from them. I want to do the hormone health course, so I'm excited to take that. I'm not ready to take it right this second, but I am really interested in taking it. So that was just a little bit of a tangent, but that is essentially what IIN is all about. So now I'm going to walk you guys through the process a little bit of enrolling in the program, and then what maybe a day in the life of an IIN student looks like. And then I'll also talk about the certification that you get when the program's over. So enrolling in the Institute of Integrative Nutrition's health coaching training program is relatively simple to do. I would recommend clicking the link in the show notes. I will have a link to a couple sample classes and some more information about the school if you are interested, because just going through their website and kind of like reading through these pamphlets is probably the easiest way for you to better understand what the enrollment process is like. For me, it was pretty easy. It's just some paperwork and stuff. And then as far as pricing goes, I believe that the original price tag of the program is about $7,000, but don't fret, because if you mention my name or click my referral link in the show notes, you can actually get about $2,000 off of your tuition, which is a crazy discount. This is not sponsored. I do get some sort of commission from that. I do want to disclose that. If you're interested in the program, if you're interested in enrolling, definitely use my referral link, because $2,000 is huge. And that is how I was able to afford the program, was using someone else's referral link. So I would definitely recommend clicking that in the description, or just DMing me on Instagram as well. I can send you all the information that you'll need to know. I also think that when you invest money into a program like this, or a certification like this, or even college, it's really meaningful, because you were able to pay for this like certification by yourself. And kind of like we talked about in last week's episode, when you are willing to invest in something and spend your energy on something, like your hard-earned energy, because money is just energy, right? Like you worked for it, like you spent energy to earn energy, and then you're going to spend energy again. But when you invest your energy into a program like this, whether that be like financial energy or time energy, it's a lot more meaningful. And I will add, the program quickly made itself back once I started my health coaching business. So that was really, really cool. So what does a day in the life of an IIN student look like? You might be wondering. When you first enroll in the program, you go through orientation, you go through a couple of foundational modules, and they teach you the basics. It's a 40-week program, I believe, and there are a couple weeks off for like Christmas and Thanksgiving and holidays like that, but for the most part, a new module comes out every single week. And there are specific graduation requirements that you have to hit. So you have to pass at least 3 out of the 4 tests, I believe. You have to attend 6 coaching circle calls. You have to submit health histories, which are just like practice health coaching sessions. and a couple other graduation requirements as well. Every single graduation requirement sets you up to be the best health coach that you can be, because that's what the program is about, right? I will add to, like, when I originally enrolled in the program, I just wanted to learn about how to be healthier. Like, I wanted to learn how to help myself. And then about week 6, I believe, I decided that this was going to be my career, because I was learning so much and I was already feeling so much growth, and I knew that I had to share this information. I'd already had a platform from doing YouTube. I did all kinds of like college YouTube videos, and I really just shared like day-to-day life, but nothing that I shared online was like truly meaningful until I enrolled in IIN and I was able to change lives because of what I was learning. And that's when I knew that this could be a career for me. So every module contains different lessons and topics, and there's a bunch of different guest speakers as well. So you learn from some of the best doctors in the world. You learn from some of the coolest, I don't even know what you call them, like just people who are super innovative in the health and wellness field, whether that be like Ayurveda or macronutrients or micronutrients, or someone who specializes in plant-based diets, or someone who specializes in paleo diets. Like, you really hear it all. And some of my personal favorite topics were women's health and Ayurveda. And it was also really interesting to learn about eating disorders, because that had a psychological component too, which I'm so fascinated by the brain, that was really interesting and also super important to learn about, just, you know, with my demographic and my age group, that's super prominent. So that was really important to learn about, I think. I mean, I know. They also teach you how to be a health coach. So there's lessons on building a business, there's lessons on building your social media pages, there's lessons on how to have a one-on-one conversation with someone, there's lessons on how to do a group coaching program. So not only are you learning the material that you're gonna need to know, you're also learning what the heck to do after you graduate. So anyone can really like learn this information, but not everyone can coach. And that's where the coaching program comes into play, right? They give you all kinds of resources and learning tools that you can actually take and adapt and use in your business, which is so valuable. Like, I would not be where I am today if it wasn't for the business coaching that they provided. So that's another really cool part about IIN, is that they teach you how to run a business. Next frequently asked question is, how much time did you dedicate to the program every week, and how did you balance it with school? So like I kind of mentioned at the beginning of the episode, I was taking a gap semester or a gap term until October. So from May 2020 until October of 2020, I was not in college. I was just attending the Institute of Integrative Nutrition. So that's important to note. And during that time, I was definitely able to put all my energy into the health coaching training program, which I loved. And then in October of 2020, I enrolled in University of Maryland Global Campus, which is an online college. And there's like a lot of thunder outside. I don't know if the mic's picking that up. So then I had to split my time between college and IIN. So for the last half of my certification, I was splitting my time between college and my certification, but I wouldn't have done it any other way, because it truly taught me how to prioritize what was most important to me. And I also just kind of treated it like another class. It was a non-negotiable for me. I dedicated about 10 to 15 hours to it, if not more, every single week. And I just made it a top priority for me. And obviously it's a huge commitment, but it definitely can be done, especially if you are dedicated to it and if it's something that you're passionate about. And it's so different than traditional college, because I feel like in college, and I even still do this, and I'm trying so hard to get out of this habit because it's horrible, but I just like learn the information to take the test and pass the class, and then it's gone. But with IIN, it's so applicable to your life that you can't forget it. You just want to know it, you know? Like, it just truly makes your life better, rather than worrying about like some random theory in your philosophy class. So like for me, when I was in traditional college, it was really just about like living for the weekend and getting by. But then when I enrolled in IIN, which also the program's completely online, I don't know if I said that to you guys or not, but you can do it literally from anywhere in the world, which is really cool. But it's just so different because it taught me that school can be fun, and it taught me that what I'm learning doesn't have to just go out the window after I take the test. And it was just so different than anything that I had ever done before. And I'm so grateful that I got to experience it because it made me truly appreciate learning. Like, I enjoy reading now. Before I didn't enjoy reading. Now I love to read because I love knowledge, and I finally found something that I'm passionate about. And without the school, I would never have found my true passion in life. And like, low-key, I'm kind of getting emotional, which is so dumb, so I'm just gonna shut up for a second and like regroup myself. If you were even thinking about pursuing a career in health and wellness, or even if you already have a career in health and wellness, if you're a personal trainer, if you're a nurse, if you're a doctor, like, there is not a single person in this world who would not benefit from this program. So what exactly can you do with a certification, a degree from the Institute of Integrative Nutrition? You can do literally whatever the heck you want with it. And that's the coolest part. You can do one-on-one health coaching. You can do group health coaching. You could write a book. You could write an ebook. You could start a podcast. You could start a product line, like a food product or a skincare product, or some sort of clothing that somehow makes people healthier in some way. IIN's partnered with a couple universities, so you can get credit towards a post-baccalaureate or a master's program with your IIN coaching degree. And even though I got all the good training, I still have so much more to learn. It's kind of like one of those situations where the more you know, the less you know, you know? And with every day I work on my business, and every time I talk to a client, and every time I pick up some new book that either another health coach has recommended to me or IIN recommended to me, I learn something new, and I take a step closer to the person that I'm meant to be and the business that I'm supposed to be running. IIN's truly opened so many doors for me, and I feel like I'm just getting started. This podcast is like just getting started, which is so cool. Like, I'm averaging anywhere from like 1,000 to like 2,000 listens, and we're about to hit 100,000 lifetime downloads. Like, what? 100,000 lifetime downloads in under a year. Like, I want to say we're about 5,000 away. So that's maybe like 2 or 3 podcast episodes. Like, we'll definitely hit that before we hit the 1 year mark of like 80/20's birthday. And that is so freaking cool. Like, we are just getting started. Like, my YouTube channel, like, I finally found passion for it again. And I finally found, I feel like, my voice to some degree. And I'm finally starting to show the things that I actually want to show, and we are just getting started. And my coaching business has so many cool things coming this fall. I mean, it's like September there's a launch, October there's a launch, November there's a launch. Like, we are just getting started. And I just can't wait to see where this whole thing goes. And it's all because of the decision that I made to go to IIN to learn a little bit more about how to be healthier for myself. Isn't that crazy how that all works out? I will say, even though I love what I'm doing, I really do struggle. I struggle with imposter syndrome. I struggle with trying to find a balance between owning a business and like wanting to be able to do more things with my business, but also wanting to be a kid to some degree. Like, I just went out to Indiana to visit my boyfriend, and he goes to a traditional college campus, and part of me missed that type of life, but I also know that I'm in such a better place than I was when I went to that school, and I just am so much better off now in the place that I am. But it is hard to kind of navigate between being like this little adult, like little like CEO of my own company, and which is, yes, I'm the only person in this company right now, but I'm the CEO, founder, coach, director of marketing, podcast producer, podcast host. Like, I do all the roles, so I'm just gonna call myself the CEO of my own little company. I balance being that and also being a kid to some degree, or I guess a mini adult. I don't really know what to call myself. So that is really hard, and I also just kind of feel like I am too young to be doing what I'm doing. But I know that age doesn't really matter. Like, it doesn't make me any less of a health coach or a business owner because I'm 21. So like that aspect's kind of hard because I just kind of struggle with feeling like I maybe like don't deserve this, or that I am not like ready for this, but I know that I am, and I know that like this is just the beginning, and without this like phase of transitioning from being like a regular college person and into being who I am today, like I know that it's just growing pains and it's temporary, and I am slowly turning into the woman that I meant to be, and the business owner that I meant to be, and the coach that I meant to be, and the podcast host that I meant to be. And this is truly just the start of something so magical. And I truly hope that I have helped someone out there who is wondering about nutrition school, wondering where they would even start when trying to find something that they're passionate about. I hope that this story inspired someone. I hope that this gave you some advice or just even some insight if you're thinking about going to IIN as to what the school is like. As I mentioned before, all of the links to get $2,000 off, to a sample class, to some more information will be in the show notes. This is not sponsored. It probably all sounded like an ad for IIN, but I promise it was not. I just see such a value in going to that school, and as you guys have heard throughout the show, it made such an impact on my life, and if it wasn't for IIN, you and I would not be here today. So I'm obviously so grateful for my time spent there, and I just cannot wait to see where this next chapter takes us. Thank you all so much for listening today. As always, if you have any questions about anything that we've discussed during the show, you can send me a DM on Instagram. My profile will be linked in the show notes. I love you all so much. Keep being amazing, and I will talk to you next week. Bye. Thank you for listening to this episode of 80/20. If you enjoyed it, please let me know by dropping a rate and a review. This helps more people just like you find and listen to the show. Don't forget to follow me, Lily, on Instagram. My username is @Lily Rakow, that's LILYRAKOW, and follow the podcast Instagram page as well, which is 8020pod, that's 8020pod on Instagram. New episodes of 80/20 go live every Monday and Thursday, or subscribe to stay up to date with the latest.